Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. I'm Philip Ryan Block, creator. I don't really want to call myself creator of the Open Art Collective, but the host of the Open Art Collective. Well, there we go. And as you guys know, this is a open, raw, live look at mental health when it comes to being a musician, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, and generally just being a human being. My guest tonight, I'm really excited to have Angela Davis on the show. Um, so Angela, for those people who don't know who you are, I mean, I give them a good little description in the bio, but
Yeah,
I would love for you to introduce yourself.
sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Davis, a singer, songwriter, entertainer, based in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, to be exact. Um, I
Oh,
am sorry. Oh, sorry, glitch phone. I am primarily my genre is R&B, soul. I do a little bit of jazz as well.
nice,
I'm just very passionate about music and the arts, and I'm also an educator by day. I work with young students, kindergarten,
awesome,
fourth grade, as a special education teacher. So I'm a woman who wears many hats, but music is something that's always been something I've always been passionate about, and I'm honored to be able to sing all over Metro Detroit, from festivals to being opening acts for national acts such as Gerald Albright and Norman Brown. So yeah, here I am.
awesome, awesome. So I mean, you like many of the guests that are on this show come from diverse backgrounds all over the world with all different kinds of stories. So I really am intrigued to hear your story.
Okay, my mental health story, I assume, right?
Well, we'll tie in mental health, but I want to give people. I mean, we have an hour to cover, so
Oh, okay,
let's start at the beginning, and then we'll kind of work in as the
okay.
mental health subjects as we go along.
Well, as a young child, I always loved music. I sang very young, around the age of 2 or 3 years old. My mother told me I would be singing in my bedroom to my dolls, singing not kiddie songs, but attempting to try to sing songs by powerhouses like Stephanie Mills and Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey at 2 and 3 years old. So that's how she knew that this was something very serious, that I was very serious and passionate about. From
Awesome.
there, in elementary, middle school, I was always in choir. High school, in the varsity choir. I was very shy at first, but something in me just said, "You got to go for it. You love to sing. You want to sing. So just go for it, try out for choir," and then the rest was history. When I was in high school, I had the chance to tour as being a part of the Black College Tour. My
Awesome.
school, we would participate in that every year. We'd go on a Black College Tour and we perform at various campuses, such as like Clark Atlanta University, Tiffin University, Michigan State, and so on and so forth. So that was I was very happy to do that because it gave me a glimpse of what it would like to be on tour as an artist. And then when I went to college, my parents did not want me to major in music. They wanted me to, get a more practical career because, as you know,
A job.
yeah,
Yeah.
music is not
Yeah.
a stable career. It's like, oh my God, you could make it 1 minute and then be on the streets the next. So my father primarily wanted me to go into something that was more, more standard. So I
Right.
still kept doing music, though. I sang at various open mics. I went to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. I sang at so many different open mics, fashion shows, jam sessions, things like that. And I kind of got a name, made a name for myself as being known as, one of the great singers on campus while still studying education. And then once
Okay.
I graduated, I still continued doing music. I auditioned for a few different bands while still teaching, of course. The moment that changed everything was in 2015. I entered a competition from my local news station called WDIV Channel 4. They had a local competition called Super Singer, and I auditioned for that. I made the top five, and I ultimately won the competition. And with
Awesome.
that, I was with that winning that, I was able to win a cash prize and also open up for the Beach Boys and the Temptations at Freedom Hill at my local at one of the venues that is local in my
Mhm.
town. And so I got a lot of attention because I was on national TV on Channel 4. It was broadcast, I think over 300,000 people were watching because it was during the
Wow.
fireworks broadcast every year. And a lot of people watch that. So that was like a life-changing event. From then on, I was
Awesome.
getting various opportunities to open up for different artists, like I said, Gerald Albright, Norman Brown. I just recently got to sing background for a 90s R&B artist named Adina Howard. I'm getting ready to open up for Keith Washington, singing background for him. So it's just like the opportunities just keep coming and coming since I've won that competition and gotten some notoriety and some recognition for my talent. And I just continue to push forward and I've recorded music as well as an independent artist. I've not signed, I'm still independent, but even though I've still gotten a lot of opportunities and I'm very grateful
Good.
for them. Yeah. And I'm just gonna keep going.
It's amazing what music can do to save somebody.
Hmm.
And I mean, those of you who are watching this and you've actually paid attention to all 20 episodes, which I know there have been some people that do pay attention to every single one. Music has been one of my biggest saving points. It's
Yeah.
always brought me through dark times. It's always, and I don't think I'm the only one that happens to, where music saves them,
Mm.
for lack of a better term.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
true.
Mainly because like it's and I've said this all the time too. People probably get sick of it by now, but music is a powerful thing.
Yes,
Probably one of the most powerful art forms on the face of the planet.
it is. I believe
And
so.
musicians have such power over us in what I mean, they can change us on a physiological level. So it's really interesting when we get talking about mental health with a musician, because oftentimes musicians are the most troubled.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to know more. Like, where, I mean, you work with the youth right now with special education, as you said, and yeah, I mean, being in music, all these things. How have you been able to navigate that? Because it's not always probably been easy.
No, it's not. I mean, I have a very, very great support system. My mother has been very supportive, like despite, and my father as well, despite him wanting me to, have a practical career, once he saw like the reaction that people started giving me and that, oh wow, she actually is, putting the work in. She's actually getting some recognition. This is actually moving in a great direction. He became a lot more supportive.
Right.
And like help get to my shows, and my mother helps with answering some calls and bookings and yeah.
Ah, the famous momager.
Exactly, of course, mom. you know and I'll get to that in a second, but my husband, who I'm actually going through a divorce right now, but that's going to be a
I've been
part of,
there.
yeah. So that he was helpful at to a point,
Right.
and it was nice. It's just nice to have a big support system, and some of my friends slash fans have become very helpful, like helping me with some videography and photography and things that are like they're doing because they truly believe in my talent and my.
Right.
So having that really did help me, get through, because I can't do it alone. I'm only one person. Um, and there were times where I did have to, turn down some opportunities because I had become burned out. Actually, early last year, I actually had a little bit of a health scare. I was severely dehydrated. I had a issue at work. I had to go to the hospital, and it,
Water all
I
the
know,
time,
I
all day,
know.
every
It,
day.
I had gotten severely dehydrated. I was sick, like I think I had the flu or something a few weeks before, and I just probably was trying to push it, to get back to work and get back to gigging and all that. But I pushed it too soon, and I had to tell myself, like, you can't do everything. You can't do every gig. You can't do every press conference. You can't do it all. So you have to pick and choose, what's important, and also prioritize time for you, for me, to
Right.
just relax. And I learned that. Yeah.
It's interesting when we talk about relaxing and finding time to just sit still,
Yeah. It's hard.
especially in the culture in the day and age that we're in right now. Because I
Yes.
mean, we have so many people coming at us from so many different angles because of. I mean, we're in a culture right now where we're very always on the go, always trying to do things, always trying to progress forward, always being on the offense, to quote Gary Vaynerchuk. But the one thing that I haven't found, which has been a big driver for the creation of this content series, was the one thing that we're not on the offense about is our own mental health and really the mental health of those around us.
Yeah.
Because if we're not right here, there's no amount of work, there's no amount of friendships, there's no amount of anything that can help. And to be
Yeah.
honest, I'm tired of waking up and opening Facebook or Instagram and seeing this person died or that person committed suicide.
And
And
you never knew what they were going through. Yeah.
and we never knew what we were. Something to see the joys about life. You just can't talk sometimes. Um, it's not just not knowing what they're going through, but it's the stigma around the fact that it's not okay to talk about it.
Yes.
And and honestly, I think if we had broken that stigma years ago, we would not have lost the people we've lost in recent time. And yeah, so is
Yes.
that is that my sound making that loud popping sound, or is that you?
I don't think it's me. I'm just I haven't done anything different. I'm just talking. I'm hoping it's not me.
I can edit it out in the audio, so it's no big deal. But
Okay.
um, so what have been some of the struggles that you faced? I mean, obviously, a female in the music business is one of those areas that's
Mm-hmm.
cause for tension, cause for concern. Well, yeah, let's talk about the struggle for a little bit before we talk
Uh,
about the happiness and the breakthrough.
Struggle probably would be like prior to Super Singer, give me that platform to showcase my talent to a large audience. Just getting people to kind of believe in me. I'm also, as people would say, I'm a curvy woman. So that was also something. I'm not your typical, pop star. I don't have that typical pop star look, model-esque look.
Right.
And, people would, put me in a box of, oh yeah, she can sing, but kind of
Yeah.
thing.
The
So they
famous
would kind of
but.
look,
Yeah.
yeah, they would look past me a little bit and just kind of say, oh, keep doing what you're doing, but not really give me a chance to really show what I can do and show that I can evolve and do things just as well as the next person. So I dealt with that a lot. And like I said, it wasn't until I actually just decided I'm going to, when I heard about that competition and I auditioned and I actually won, that's when people were like, whoa, like she's on this big stage in front of all these people. She handled herself. She sang the songs that she chose with confidence. And, I sang my heart out basically. So
Right.
that's when I was able to really show people like, told you so kind of situation. Yeah.
A good little those moments are good little confidence boosters for sure.
Yeah, they
Um,
is.
so what has been maybe some of the darkest times for you in coming
Um,
up in being in music and really, I mean, Detroit's obviously not an easy place to grow up.
right.
So I mean, what is let's go deeper with the story. So what's been some of those times for you?
I actually, have sang at some unsafe places, being trying to, pursue my dreams and being ambitious. I would just take on, basically any opportunity that would come my way.
Right.
It could be a bar in a very rough area. I would do it. I thankfully, thank you, God, I never had anything happen to me, but I did have people things happen to people that I knew. I had people's cars broken into. I had a close, very close, a musician friend of mine who actually was killed on
Wow.
Christmas Eve, going to pick up something. I believe going to pick up some food or something for his children, and was carjacked and robbed and killed. So it's just like having those experiences and just having that fear inside of me. Is I'd have moments of doubt, like, well, maybe I should just stop doing this. It's not worth it. Maybe I should just stick to teaching and leave the singing alone because it's not safe out here. But then
Right.
another part of me was like, well, you can't give up. This is what you love, and things won't always be this way. God's gonna protect you.
Hmm.
You're gonna keep moving forward, and you're gonna keep moving up to where you won't have to worry about singing in unsafe environments. And by the grace of God, that is what happened. I was able to
Awesome.
make connections with people who had, connections with venues that are, top of the line, like I said, Freedom Hill with the Temptations and the Beach Boys, or,
Hmm.
going up in Lansing to a venue to open up for some, jazz, world class jazz acts, as opposed to singing at the bar on the corner that, people is known where people get robbed or people get, hurt.
Worse.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was definitely a struggle. It was like what do I do? Should I keep doing this or should I just give up because it's unsafe? That was tough for me.
Right, and when you get into those moments I like to call it environmental doubt. It's not you
Mm-hmm.
doubting your ability, you doubting your desire. It's you doubting your own ability to perform in the environment that you're put in. And
Exactly.
I mean that's
Like the odds are against you, kind of thing.
right, right. So what was the one thing that you were doing that constantly drove you through those moments of self doubt? Because a lot of people don't think that doubt, or self doubt, more importantly, is a mental health issue. So I mean, when you're continually doubting yourself, the amount of pressure that that's putting on not only your nervous system but your mind and everything about you, you just become a shell of what you used to be. So how did you fight through that?
I guess what made me fight through it is just like when because I would take like breaks. I guess like I would just kind of focus on my music and sorry, excuse me, focus on teaching and
Hmm.
just kind of sing for a while, maybe just, do some writing or just, sing at home. And it just wasn't getting it. I mean, I missed that being on stage, interacting with the crowd, hearing people tell me how much I touched their lives because they heard me sing and they were having a bad day.
Right.
I missed those things. And I felt like my mother and I talk about this all the time. I feel like if I'm not singing or I'm not performing, I'm going against what God's purpose is for me, which is to sing and to bring joy into other people's lives. And if I'm not doing that, it's like a slap in the face to God. Like, you gave me this gift, but I'm not going to use it because I'm too weak. I can't get through this environmental situation, or
Right.
I can't deal with adversity. No, you can do it. God gave you this talent for a reason, and He's going to give you what the tools that it takes to get where you need to go.
Right. And I agree completely because I mean I faced similar, and not as the music side, but I mean more in the fact of when you're building something and you are the only one that believes in what you're building, and then
Yeah,
you get to the point where other people are starting to believe it, and then you take that moment to breathe, like I talked about with Catherine, and step back and actually look at what's been accomplished so far. It gets really
yeah,
exciting. But
yeah,
when you're head down working, sometimes you don't see it, and then that one bad thought enters your head, and all of a sudden it becomes a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, a bad year. So as
yeah,
much as momentum works to the vertical, it also works incredibly fast going downhill. So,
yeah,
and a lot of people that I've talked to so far have had a similar story. Like they've had to overcome some adversity, some level of doubt, some level of fear to get to where they are. And I think a
yeah,
lot of people, especially around the topic of mental health, are fearful of talking about it
yeah. They are, because
because
it's like you feel like that's nobody's business. No one's gonna care. Yeah,
right. You and I think we're raised in a very similar type of household. Very, I mean, mother being very, very powerful, very supportive, yet wouldn't think twice about smacking you upside the head for doing something stupid.
yeah.
But yet at the same point in time, overly empathetic.
Hmm.
But a lot of people, especially that I've talked to here, haven't had that. They've
Wow.
had struggles growing up.
Yeah,
They grew up in dysfunctional, very broken homes. I mean, I grew up in a broken home, but mine still was very functional from the level of empathy. Like
yeah,
my family just poured out that because from my father to my mother, I mean, we were always you kind of speak your mind. You always allow yourself to feel, and
hmm.
I think
Well, that's good.
I rebelled against that though. So that was, but anyway, that's another story. Most of the people who've heard this have heard me talk about that before. But what being a musician, being a person of power and influence like you are, have you had people either send you messages, come to you and say, I'm struggling, but your music has helped me through. You've inspired me to do this with my life and make it better. Because I think as a musician, that is an incredibly powerful part of the job that a
Yeah.
lot of people take for granted.
Yeah, I definitely have had that. I've had people say that on different facets of my career because through my branding of who I am, I'm trying to be, well, I am, and I'm trying to be every day more inspirational, spreading happy thoughts, spreading love, and
Right.
always being soulful and spreading the music, of course. So, I post a lot of inspirational quotes on my Facebook page, and on my Instagram, I'll post things like, have a great day, make it a great day, posting all the types of things. And people
Hmm.
will always inbox me and say, like, I love seeing your inspirational posts. They just make my day. It just made me so happy to see, your smile, or just to see you post something about, keep trying, you're gonna make it. I post a lot of things of that nature. And then also
Right.
people coming up to me saying, like I told you, one lady one day at a performance told me, I had a horrible day at work today and I was not even gonna come out, but I'm so glad I did, because hearing you sing just made me forget about everything and made me just feel so good. And that was like,
Right.
wow, that's powerful to know that I could do that for someone or help someone feel better than they did
Right.
before they got there. I mean, that was big. I also had
What
people.
happens inside you when something like that happens? Like
Um,
because like certain, I mean, I pose this question to other musicians, which is why I ask it of you. How like that feeling to some has been like, I really don't know how to react because I don't. I mean, they don't see their own power in a lot of instances, or they don't want to be that person to take the credit for it because they're almost too selfless for their own good. So, like, how does that? I mean, to me, I mean, I get it. I've gotten it more now just because I'm having these types of conversations. But the ability to just have somebody connect with you, even if you don't know who they are,
yeah.
can where it can help their life more than you realize. So
Yeah.
how does that make you feel when that happens?
It just makes me feel like this is bigger than me. Like, this is not just about me. And at
Right.
first it was. When I was younger, it was just like, I love singing. I'm gonna sing. That's what I'm gonna do because I love it. But as I got older, it made me realize that this is bigger than just you liking to sing and you enjoying it. This is touching people's lives. This is
Right.
something you, and like I go back to the whole God given talent that I'm supposed to use. Like, I have this talent for a reason. He didn't give me this talent because to be selfish with it and keep it in, go in my corner at home and just sing to myself every day. He gave me this gift so that I could spread it and help people, help uplift people, because that's what I'm doing. People tell me all the time that your smile uplifts me, your when you speak and you speak positivity, that uplifts me. When you sing, you uplift me. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
I mean, obviously, it finally makes sense now.
Right. Tell me about that aha moment where it finally made sense. Like when was it first off? And how did you feel
Mm.
afterwards? Right? Because for me, that aha moment did not honestly come until later in the year last year. I was always
Yeah, I'm gonna
working
say,
towards it, but it was like, I get it now. And
yeah.
then it was like, it
Um,
just went from there.
It happened probably, I would say, last year as well, because it happened when I really started taking my brand seriously, because I had to really think about, who am I and what am I all about? And I had to really
Right.
think about that. And I thought about, wow, a very positive person. I'm all about living your best life, living your happiest life, and, being happy overall, excuse
Right.
me. And so once I really started to decide that was what my branding is, and I started, getting involved with different marketing experts and taking some courses, listening to some podcasts and things like that. And I started doing, investing into my brand, that's when I started getting, people, more people to follow me on my Facebook page and Instagram page and things like that. And then the comments
Mhm.
started to come where people would say things like that, like, wow, I was having a bad day. This really helped me. And I'm like, wow, this is why your brand is so important, because it lets you see that, it's not just about, singing or rapping or whatever. It's about, the connection you have with your fans, and the connection, I mean, the the feeling that you give them, because it's not about you. It's
Right,
about the fans, the people. And the more you do for them, the more that they will come to you. And then it's also beneficial to you, because knowing that you're
right.
doing this for these people is like, wow, this is me, like little old me has this effect on you. It's really humbling, and it's like amazing at the same time, like, wow,
That when you
powerful.
have that, when you get that, it's it it's game over, right? Because nothing
Yeah.
else can top that feeling.
No.
Because it's like it all, like everything, every moment where you started to doubt your ability growing up, every moment where you started to like where you would quiet yourself in a circumstance rather than speak up, every single one of those moments all align when that happens, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's like a weight that's been on your shoulders that you weren't really even aware of was actually there. When you
Yeah.
feel it lift off, you're like, wow, like it actually feels better because you put yourself on. I mean, we as human beings do this anyways, but thanks to social media, we tend to do it a lot more. We put
Yeah.
so much pressure on ourselves to match other people's standards rather
Yep.
than caring about what our own standards for our own life is. And I mean, talking about mental health in social media, that is a huge topic because we put so
Yeah.
much value in a like, in a follow, in a comment. But yet, when we're engaging in real life, having a conversation like this, because my good friend Rowan kind of made it a point, like, why don't you just sit down and have an hour long talk with a friend? We don't do that anymore.
We don't. We
It's always a quick text, it's a quick
text
call, it's a comment or it's a DM, but it's never really a let's
face
talk
to
about
face.
what we're feeling. I mean,
Exactly.
granted, we're not in the same space right now, but I mean, we are. Because I
Yeah.
mean, and this is why I'm not even caring about who watches or who's live watching because I it's about our conversation.
Yeah.
So, when you go through those moments or when somebody's messaging you and saying, "You helped me," do you ever have those moments where you start to, not want to say where you start to doubt, but where you start to question the why? Let
The
me
why.
rephrase that. Like when it happened to me, when it happened to me for the first like few times, I was like, I'm a guy from Rockford, Illinois that just started doing something. How could like why would that be of inspiration to you, of help to you? I mean, I guess that goes back to doubting your own power, like what we were just talking about. But
Mm-hmm.
what I mean, do you get people? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you get people that message you, but where do you take it from there? I guess that's where I want to go with this.
Okay. So when
So
people are
somebody messages you, somebody talks to you at a show, they say, "You inspired me, you made my day, my week, my month, my year, my life better." Where do you go in that conversation from there?
I'm just so lately I've just been so humbled and just so like amazed. I'm just like, wow, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I could do that for you, but I'm so glad that you came. I let them know that I genuinely appreciate their support and their presence, because without them I'm nothing. And I want people to know that. I want people to know that, yeah, I did something for you, but I want you to know that you really did something for me, because without you, what's the point of me singing? Without, I don't have a song to sing to anyone. That
Right,
thank you for being there and supporting me and paying the admission to get in and asking about more upcoming shows and asking where you can get merchandise and just wanting to join my email. Those things really help me go to the next level. And
Right.
you, I, I'm grateful for you. I make sure I tell them that.
Right. Gratitude is huge, and I don't think the world is grateful enough. So
Hmm.
I'm really glad to hear you say that, because I mean, other people, when I've either talked offline or even on the show about that, several people will kind of make it about them when it's not about them in
Yeah.
that moment. And I mean, you being wise about the fact that even once your music is done, it's no longer about you. It's about them. It's about each and every one of them that listens. And when you we apparently lost our guest. I'm sure she'll be back in a moment. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for her to come back, um, if you're listening to this or watching this and are struggling or going through something yourself, as I mentioned in the prior episodes, I'm working with my dear friend Rowan Bradler on creating an online resource that is composite of all mental health related um, resources, just so that you can connect with them and find help. I was just telling them as you were coming back that I'm working with Rowan Bradler to create an online resource system, or an
Okay.
online resource for all things mental health. And I hope to have that launched in the next few weeks, or at least publicly available in the next few weeks while I build out the rest of the site. But I mean, the subject of mental health is so broad, which is why sometimes these conversations are really detailed and in depth. Sometimes they're not. Uh, but like, what in your space of teaching, especially with special education, that has to weigh on a soul, because I mean, you see kids going through a lot, and I mean,
Yes.
I I grew up in a similar environment. My aunt was a caretaker for several mentally handicapped children throughout the years, and it was it wasn't always easy.
No, it's not.
I mean, how do you do that? Because I'm really compelled to learn more about that side of your life.
Oh, sure. Well, it's definitely a challenging but yet very rewarding career. When you're working with kids who, don't get it, special needs, that means they're having struggles in the general education classroom. They don't grasp the curriculum as quickly as their, you know, other
Right,
class who aren't special, who aren't classified as special ed. So they have a lot of learned helplessness, self doubt. They feel like, I'm not smart. I'm stupid. I've heard that a few times, but
right,
make sure that I emphasize to them that, I'm here to help. You aren't stupid. You are very smart. You just need a little extra help. And I let them know that as a young child myself, that I needed help too. I may not have been, I don't say that, we don't use the word special ed with the kids because that's just not really
right,
positive. But I mean, I wasn't a special education student, but I let them know that I needed tutoring when I was in high school or in college because I needed to get through this course that I didn't understand and I needed a tutor. And there's nothing wrong with needing help. And they're kind of amazed sometimes when they hear an adult tell their story, like, wow, you needed a tutor to help you get through your class. You didn't just know it. And I'm like, no, I had to learn. I had to have someone help me. My teachers helped me. My tutors helped me. And
right,
I also deal with students who have more so, they're not necessarily academically low, but they have some emotional issues where they don't know how to handle their emotions. They let their anger
right,
or their frustration get the best of them. And so I have to talk to them about, I'm thinking of one student in particular. I had to build a relationship with him to let him know that if you ever feel frustrated, you ever feel like, you don't get something or you feel like it's too much, you can come to me and just sit in the corner and relax for a little while. And he began to realize, like, oh, I'm not in trouble. She's just
right,
helping and talking to me. And I would try to calm him down and I would ask him to feel calm now and things like that. And he would say, yeah, I think I'm feeling better now. And it's those types of relationships that make the career so rewarding. And, knowing that you truly gave someone an outlet. And teachers have such a bad rap from in the past, like they yell at kids and they point fingers like you sit down and you do this. But teaching now a lot nowadays is about building those relationships. It's kind of very similar to singing and your fans, building those
Hmm.
relationships, building that trust. So I guess by being a teacher, it has helped me become a better artist and connecting with my fans.
And your
Yeah.
entire energy shifted when you started talking about this. Like you were smiling before, but you're smiling larger now. And it's
Yeah.
but I can again that comes down to positivity and energy, and you know where you want to be and the confidence in your ability in those situations. I don't know if I could handle it, but that's why there are people like you who can handle it. Only because I mean, admittedly I have a shorter temper than most people. I mean, even with
Right.
my own kids, one tried to like peek into the office a little while ago.
Uh-oh.
It wouldn't be the first time they've interrupted a live video. But I don't know. I'm just always so inspired by people who are in education field, mainly because I grew up with my grandparents being in education. So
Yeah.
and then you add on top of that special needs education and dealing with those who might be struggling with emotional, um, I don't want to say disabilities, but emotional uh, needs. It's
Yeah.
very trying on you. So that just speaks to your strength,
Because I've had moments where I'm just like, whew, I have to breathe. I have to, take a break, tell one of my coworkers, can you handle this for a second? I really need to, readjust and just take a moment to
right?
breathe. It's not always so rewarding and you're just like, oh, yeah, everyone's happy. There are days where it's like, wow, this student is not listening to me. They're having a really rough day. But then, say 80% of the time it's rewarding. 80% of the time, you have a student who's acting out in class because, they maybe feel like they're not making that connection with the teacher. But then when they come to me, they're able to tell me their problems. And it makes me feel good to know that they feel comfortable enough to come to me and tell me what's wrong so that we can try to fix it and we can help the situation. So
Right,
another
right.
gratifying teaching, building those it's all about those relationships and helping.
Relationships are important,
Yeah.
especially honesty in relationships.
Yes.
And I mean, you mentioned earlier going through a divorce. I've been through one. Mine was pretty wicked, very painful. So I not only do I commend you for being an incredible musician and an educator, which are two fields that are very close to me, but I commend you for going through what you're going through and still being able to smile
Yeah.
because
That that's a part of my mental health story.
I mean, let's talk about that. The smiling. Like what? Why?
I It's just something that I was kind of raised to do. My mother smiles, a lot when she's around people. She's not really a people person per se. She's very shy, but when she does interact with people and like especially customer service and things like that, she's always like,
Hmm.
she always is kind of like, judgmental when someone doesn't smile or someone doesn't make her feel at ease or feel like they are grateful for her business. And she always made it a told me like to make sure that as a musician, and that's being an entrepreneur, that you let people know that you're grateful for their business, that you're happy to see them.
Right.
And I feel like this kind of was ingrained and instilled in me at such a young age that it kind of I just kind of comes naturally. I get
Excuse me.
the hallway, they say like, wow, she's always smiling and she's always happy. And I may not be happy that particular day, but smiling does make me feel better because it makes it kind of,
Right.
you're like tricking yourself into being happy. And I don't want to say tricking yourself. You're kind of helping yourself become happy even though you may not be. Because
Right.
to see someone frowned up and depressed and, sad all the time. You want to try to be your best self. That's what I want to be. Try to be my best self as much as I can.
Awesome. That's a good thing to be. I mean, when you figure out what that is, and it's different for everybody, literally anybody listening to this, that is different. Like it's not the same for me that it is for Angela, and it's not going to be the same for you that it is for your friend. So understand
Right.
that everybody is different when it comes to that. But a lot of what makes me happy may make you happy as well. So allow
Mhm.
yourself to feel. And one of the things that I was talking about with Catherine Hoxie last week was not just chasing happiness, but allowing yourself to feel through it all.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's
I
important.
mean, it opened up my eyes a little bit because I was like, no, I'm not chasing happiness, but I'm running towards happiness every day. Sometimes I'm
Yeah.
close, sometimes I'm not so close. And
Yeah.
so I think, and especially when talking about our fans and our community, it's you have to give yourself the ability to feel, but understand and be aware enough in yourself to identify when you're not in control of that feeling.
Yeah.
And um, you have to make yourself happy. There's nobody else that can, right?
Yeah.
That's what most counselors say. And I mean, I'm not a mental
Yeah.
health professional. I think most people will have understood this by now, but I am well versed enough because I've dealt with a lot of it on my own. Um,
Yeah.
but the whole mission of this community is my story might not always resonate with you, but your story can help somebody else. So that being said, I'm really grateful for you taking the time out of your Friday night to join me, and
Yeah.
it's it's getting to the time in the episode where where we want to start talking about what are some of those action steps that you took in your life to maybe progress out of the dark times that maybe
Oh,
somebody else can
yeah.
take as as a moment of inspiration for their own life.
Well, yeah, as I stated earlier, I am currently going through a divorce, and it was a very dark time. I was crying a lot. I was, asking myself why, blaming myself. And I originally went to therapy in attempt to try to help the marriage. I
Right.
was supposed to go. However, he did not want to go. He actually refused to go. He didn't like it, or claimed that he didn't want to go.
As a guy, he didn't want to be vulnerable, is what it was. I admittedly, I've gone through the same thing. Anyways,
Okay.
continue.
Yeah. So, but something inside of me said that, but I'm still hurting. I'm still dealing with something. So I need to still go. And I informed the therapist that, unfortunately my husband won't come, but I still want to come. And she was like, well, I commend you for still wanting to come and still wanting
Right.
to have sessions. And so we continued the sessions. And I really got to, get the help that I needed to, realize that, it's not my fault. It's not per se either of our faults. It's just that we, have issues that, we weren't, I guess, able to work through. And you make the conscious decision to do what's best for you. Do what's
Right.
best for Angela at this point. And at first, I felt guilty about even like speaking or even wanting to think the words divorce, because that's just that's not what you're supposed to do. You get married to be together
Right.
forever, right? But I wasn't happy, and things weren't we won't get into all of the things that happened, but things were not going the way I wanted for my marriage, and I had to make a really tough decision to move forward and just let that chapter of my life go. But going to therapy truly helped me, because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't go to therapy. I probably would have just I guess kept being miserable, and who knows where that would have led me.
Right.
I'm not thinking suicide or anything like that. I mean, I just think I would have
But
just
to some
probably
people,
stayed.
that does go there.
Yeah. Yeah, no judgment there at all. And then she was very encouraging about, making sure that I, spoke positive affirmations to myself every day,
Right.
made sure that I informed her of ways that I was going to express and release the negative energy and the stress that I was going through. Like, working, I told her about how I like to work out. That helps me get off a lot of steam. How I like singing, of course, and
Right.
writing is definitely a huge part of, helping me get through that as well. Writing about my experiences and being with people who love and care about me, my family and friends, and my fans as well. So she was very happy to know that I didn't let this just bring me totally down. I kept,
Right.
going and kept doing things to help me, release that stress of dealing with this. Because at
Right.
first I was keeping it to myself. I didn't tell my family for a while or my closest friends for a while. It was just kind of like something I was just trying to struggle through by myself.
Right.
And
You were trying to figure your way out of it because you didn't want to talk to them because, I mean, whether we say it or not, whether we admit to it or not, we care how other people think and feel and view us. And I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of ingrained in our human nature.
yeah.
So, yeah, I understand
Uh,
why you hide that.
and you're ashamed as well. Like you don't want
Right.
to, let them know that you failed. But, it's not really a failure. It's just a
A
chapter of your life that,
repositioning.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Exactly. So therapy definitely helped me, and I would advise anyone who's going through anything that's traumatic, whether it's a divorce or a death of a loved one or whatever, something that's tragic to you, you should
Right.
definitely talk to someone, whether it's a therapist or a close family or friend that you love and trust.
Or even reach out to Angela or myself because I mean, we
Yeah,
tend to,
definitely.
I,
Please, I will
I
talk
like
to
to
you.
offer myself up as a resource. Not that I have the answers or even any answer at all, but I have ears and a heart that's willing to listen. So,
Yeah.
um, that being said, if you've gotten through this far, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate everybody taking the time out of their days to, I mean, watching, listening to 45 minutes to an hour of anything is tough for people unless it's television. And I've got it.
Right.
I take this to like the big screen or something like that. Allow the voice to get louder. Um, but I really am thankful for those who pay attention and who find something out of this to make their own life better. I
Yeah.
remember a few weeks ago, back in season one of this, actually, we I had somebody message me after the session, and they said, "I thought you were talking directly to me,"
Wow. That's
and
powerful.
that's the only reason why I do this.
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
if we can through an hour of two, hopefully soon to become friends. I mean, we follow each other on social media, but like if we can, if our conversation, our 60 minutes, 45 minutes, 55 minutes, whatever it's going to end up being, is impactful enough in somebody's life and they get something out of it to make themselves feel a little bit better, if not completely better,
Mm-hmm.
that makes every
Work.
single, all the time I put into this worth it. And also all the time of my guests. Um,
I
so again, if you are struggling, find help. This is how available I am. Go to my Instagram. My phone number is in the call button on my Instagram page.
wow.
Right here. This thing that never leaves my hand, according to my wife. Um,
I know.
but that's how available I am. So I want to continue to put myself out there as a resource. But if you don't want to call me, you can always DM me too. Um,
First, send me an email, whatever.
right, because sometimes or oftentimes when somebody is going through something, they really don't want advice. They just want to feel acknowledged. They just want somebody to listen to what they're going
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
So I mean that's what you pay a therapist for. That's what I paid a therapist for when I went through my divorce too. It was just, wait a second. I'm paying you to tell you for you to affirm everything that I was feeling.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I
then it's
guess
also
that
the
works.
thing about they're listening to you without judgment too. That's another reason why I recommend therapy if you can afford
Right.
it, because she's she's never said like, well, that's wrong or that's right. She's just listening, and if I may ask a question or two, and she'll give her, professional opinion, but she's basically there as a listening ear, and not in a non-judging way. Like, oh, he
Right.
did horrible, or you did that. But she's never judgmental, and I needed that neutrality.
Right. Right. So as we get ready to wrap up, I mean, obviously I'm going to include all of your links down in the comments sections and stuff below, but how can people get in touch with you? How can they find out what's going on, what's new and exciting in your world? How can they do, what's the best place for them to go?
Definitely my Instagram and Facebook. So I'm Angela Davis Music. That is my handle on Instagram. I always post, my schedule and different things that I'm doing, and video clips of myself performing, and inspirational things in my Instagram stories. So Angela Davis Music is Instagram. And then I'm also very active on my Facebook fan page, which is
Awesome.
Angela Davis Entertainment. And like I said, I post a lot of inspirational quotes and pictures and video clips and performance schedules. So if you're in the Michigan area, you can come and check me out.
I got to come back
And
up that way sometime soon. I was up there last
yeah,
fall, but I haven't been back in a while.
yeah, I would love to see you.
Awesome. So you're probably pretty familiar with this by now because you've been paying attention, and everybody else who's listening, watching, will understand the point in the episode where we're coming. This is the moment where I say the phrase that I say in every single piece of video content I put out there, pretty much. Um, but it's an affirmation for me, and I want to share it with everybody here. So I say be happy. I say have fun. I say hustle hard. But there is no amount of hustle that can bring you happiness or fun in your world. So you
Right.
got to put those two first. And
I agree.
as well as this video, as well as Tuesday's episode, will be available on YouTube and the audio form of the podcast Sunday night. So stay tuned to social media for those links. And then stay tuned to Instagram and Facebook Monday for announcing next week's guests. I'm going to keep this going until my voice just won't stop, or until my voice stops working. And then I will be typing it all out, because together, if we talk loud enough and together often enough, we can start to create change. And the change that I want to see in this is the fact that if we are struggling, if we are going through something, that we open up and talk about it rather than close it in and be quiet.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to read about somebody losing their life, or worse, taking somebody else's because of how they feel, and because nobody could talk. They didn't feel like they had anybody they could talk to.
Yeah.
There's a community being built around this right now, and the louder that we become, the more our voices can, or the less our voices can be ignored. So,
Yeah.
Angela, I want to thank you for lending your voice and your story tonight. I'll have you stick around after I end this, and we'll follow up. And to everybody else, thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yes. Bye, guys.